You think you can just waltz onto my property and auction it off like some goddamn charity giveaway? My voice cracked through the morning air. Fists clenched so tight my knuckles went white. The woman standing 10 feet away didn't even flinch, just smiled that pageant queen smile and tilted her head like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. Mr. Harrison, there's no need for hostility. This is community property now. The vote passed last night unanimously. Behind her, 3 strangers in pressed khakis snapped photos of my dock. My dock? The one I'd built with my own hands after the hurricane wiped out the old one. One of them, a silver-haired man with a Rolex catching sunlight, nodded approvingly and scribbled something in a leather notebook. Unanimously, I took a step forward. Boots grinding gravel? I never got a notice. Never got a vote. You don't own 1 square inch of this water. Victoria. And you damn well know it. Her smile widened, sharp as broken glass. I pulled into the long dirt driveway that Saturday morning in early October 2024, expecting silence. The kind of bone-deep quiet you only find this far out. 22 acres of Florida scrubland that I'd bought in 2003 with the advance from my first book deal. My property sat at the dead end of Palmetto Shores, a gated community that had sprouted up around my land after I'd already claimed my stake. The HOA covenant explicitly stopped at my fence line. I'd verified that with 2 real estate attorneys before signing. The lake, 4 acres of spring-fed water, so clear you could see bass lurking 15 feet down, was entirely mine. Surveyed. Recorded. Mine. A retired land surveyor named Frank Kowalski had walked every boundary with me in 2003. "Sown," he'd said. "This water's yours. Nobody else's. You keep that deed safe." But something was wrong the second I rounded the bend. A 6-foot chain-link fence stretched across the dirt road. Brand new. Posts sunk in concrete, still damp around the edges. A laminated sign zip-tied to the metal read private property. WA managed. Authorized access only. I sat in my F-250 for 30 seconds. Engine idling. Staring at those words. HOA managed. My property. The air in the cab felt suffocating. I killed the engine, climbed out, and approached slowly. The metal was cold under my palm. The lock was commercial grade. And beyond the fence, down by the water, I saw them. 4 people. 3 strangers dressed like they'd walked out of a realtor's office. And 1 woman I recognized instantly. Victoria Brennan, early 40s. Shoulder-length auburn hair styled in loose waves. Wearing oversized sunglasses and gesturing toward the water like a tour guide. She stood on my shoreline in nude heels, pointing at my dock while the 3 strangers nodded and took notes. The silver-haired man raised his phone and took a panoramic photo. A younger woman with a designer handbag scribbled on a clipboard. The third just stared at the water, hands on his hips, already calculating costs. Victoria laughed at something one of them said, then glanced toward the fence and saw me. Her smile faltered for half a second. Then it snapped back into place. Wieder. Sharper. She said something to her group and started walking toward me. Her heels clicked on the packed dirt like a metronome counting down. I stayed at the fence, every muscle coiled tight, but my hands stayed loose at my sides. Victoria reached the gate and stopped 3 feet away. "Mr. Harrison," she said, voice smooth as bourbon. "I didn't expect to see you out here today." I didn't return the smile. "What the hell is this?" She glanced at the fence. "Oh, temporary infrastructure. We're conducting community tours of the amenities. Your lake is such an incredible resource, and we want residents to understand the value of what we're managing here. My lake," I said slowly, "is on my property. Private property, not community property." Victoria laughed this light dismissive sound. "Well, that's a bit of a gray area, isn't it? Natural water features are often considered shared resources, especially within covenant communities. The HOA has a responsibility to manage these assets for everyone's benefit. Gray area." The words hit like a slap. There was no gray area. There was a deed, recorded with Manatee County in 2003. There was a survey map. There was Florida law. "Show me the deed," I said quietly, "that says you own this lake." Her smile cracked. "Mr. Harrison, I don't think you understand how community governance I understand property law." I cut her off. "I have a recorded deed and a certified survey that proves this land is mine." "Do you have any legal documentation?" Victoria's expression shifted. The warmth drained from her face. "We'll be issuing a formal notice about this," she said, voice dropping. "There are processes, reclassification procedures, and there will be management fees. $18,000 annually for lake access infrastructure." She pulled a folded paper from her blazer pocket and held it through the fence. I didn't take it. "You're charging me to access my own property. We're charging for management," she said. "This is a community asset now. Mr. Harrison, if you refuse to cooperate, we'll have to pursue legal remedies." I looked past her at the three strangers walking back toward the fence. The silver-haired man waved at Victoria. She waved back. All smiles. Then turned to me with that cold expression. "I suggest you think carefully. The HOA has resources, lawyers, a board that votes unanimously. Fighting us would be expensive and pointless." She dropped the paper at my feet, turned, and walked back toward her group. I watched her shake hands with each stranger, hand them glossy brochures, laugh. She pointed back toward the lake, made a sweeping gesture like presenting a kingdom. Then they walked to a white Mercedes SUV and drove away. I stood alone. The fence gleamed in the sun. The paper fluttered at my feet. I bent down and picked it up. Official HOA letterhead. Notice of asset reclassification and management fee assessment. My name misspelled Matthew instead of Matthew. A due date 3 weeks out. No legal citations. Just bureaucratic language and a number $18. 000 due by November 15th. L'enseignant Archeseux. I read it twice. Then something shifted in my chest. The heat of anger cooled into something sharper. This wasn't just wrong. This was stupid. And stupid left trails. I pulled out my phone. The trail camera I'd mounted in a live oak last month was still there, motion activated, streaming to cloud. I'd installed it after someone kept dumping trash near my boat launch. Now I had footage of Victoria conducting what looked like a real estate showing on property she didn't own. I didn't touch the fence. Instead, I walked the perimeter, taking photos. Tire tracks. Footprints. A brochure half buried in sand. I could see glossy text, lakefront opportunity, exclusive access. I used a tissue to pick it up. Evidence. Took 19 photos total. Time-stamped. GPS tagged. Then I walked back to my truck and sat with my hands on the wheel. My heart pounded. But my mind was clear. Cold. Focused. This wasn't panic. This was calculation, the same feeling I got plotting a thriller novel. I started the engine and drove home. Victoria Brennan had no idea what she just started. She didn't know about the camera. Didn't know I'd spent 18 months researching property law for a legal thriller, interviewing real estate attorneys until I could recite Florida riparian rights statutes in my sleep. And she definitely didn't know that I didn't lose. Not when I was right. Not when I had proof. The first thing I did was open the safe in my office. The fireproof document safe I'd bought for papers. I couldn't afford to lose. Inside was a thick manila envelope labeled property, 1847 Hammock Lane. The deed was on top. I spread it across my desk and read every word. Matthew Cole Harrison, hereafter referred to as grantee, and does hereby receive, from Robert and Susan Chen, all rights, title, and interest in the following described property. 22. 4 acres in Section 8. Township 35 South. Range 18 East. Including all water features, mineral rights, and appurtenances thereto. Signed, notarized. Recorded April 3rd. Lao Tin Ling Sen. Including all water features. There it was. Black ink on cream paper. This was truth. This was law. This was mine. I pulled out the survey map. The boundaries were marked in red. Each corner labeled with coordinates. The lake was shaded blue, clearly within my property lines. 2 acres of water, fed by an artesian spring. Frank Kowalski's signature at the bottom. He'd put in writing that the lake was private property, not subject to any easement or community claim. I opened my laptop and pulled up Florida's property law database. Florida Statutes, Title XXVII, Chapter 253, Section 1, 141 Riparian Rights. The owner of land bordering a natural watercourse or body of water holds exclusive rights to the use and access of said water, provided the water lies entirely within the described boundaries of the recorded deed. I found HOA covenant limitations. Homeowners association covenants may not expand beyond the boundaries established in the original declaration without written consent of affected property owners and formal amendment filed with the county. I printed everything, 23 pages that said the same thing. Victoria was wrong, but I needed to be sure. I called Diane Sheffield, the real estate attorney who'd handled my closing 9 years ago. She answered on the second ring. Diane Sheffield. Deanne. This is Matthew Harrison. I don't know if you remember the lake property. She said immediately. Of course, I remember. What's wrong? I told her everything. When I finished, there was silence. Then Diane said, "Do you still have your deed and survey right in front of me?" She exhaled. Then they don't have a case. What they're doing is trespass. If they're conducting tours and soliciting fees, that crosses into fraud territory. Something loosened in my chest. So I'm not crazy. Diane laughed. You're not crazy. You're dealing with an HOA president who either doesn't understand property law or doesn't care. Do you want me to send a cease and desist? I hesitated. A letter would stop Victoria, but also tip my hand. She might destroy evidence before I figured out what she was really planning. Not yet. I said, I need to understand what she's planning first. This feels bigger. Will you think there's more to it? I thought about the brochure. Lakefront opportunity. The way Victoria had handed out glossy folders like selling lots. Yeah, I think there's more. Diane's voice sharpened. Then document everything. Photos. Videos. Recordings Florida's one-party consent on your property. If she's running a scheme, you'll need proof. And Matthew, be careful. People who abuse power don't like being challenged. I pulled up the Palmetto Shores HOA website and logged into the member portal. Meeting minutes were posted under community documents. I scanned 2 years of monthly meetings. Most was mundane landscaping budgets. Mailbox violations. Then I found something from 3 months ago in the Treasurer's report proposed budget amendment infrastructure improvements and amenity expansion maybe. $220. Ling ling ling. Approved by unanimous vote. No details. No breakdown. Just a number. Laum by Arshameyen. Ling ling ling. For what I searched, recent real estate listings in Palmetto Shores. Found a half-acre lot, 4 streets over. Listed for 300 Ofür. Ling, ling, ling. Description said canal access. But the photo showed a drainage ditch. No water. But if that lot had lake access, my lake access, the price would double. Maybe triple. This wasn't about managing assets. This was about money. Victoria was trying to create value where none existed, using my property to do it. My phone buzzed. Email notification. Sender Palmetto Shores, HOA, official notice. I opened it. Dear Mr. Harrison, this email serves as formal notification that the Palmetto Shores Homeowners Association has scheduled a special meeting on November 3rd, 2024 to vote on Agenda Item 9, Boundary Expansion and Community Asset Acquisition. Your attendance is encouraged, but not required. Voting will proceed regardless. I read it 3 times. Boundary Expansion. Community Asset Acquisition. They were going to vote on taking my lake officially. Publicly. November 3rd. 12 days from now. I printed the email and pulled up my photos from this morning. Found the clearest shot of the brochure. Zoomed in. Lakefront Opportunity Premium Water Access. HOA managed contact Victoria Brennan for private showing. Phone number at the bottom. I saved it under evidence. Victoria. I wasn't going to call her, but I was going to find out who else had. Find out what she'd promised them, and make sure every lie was documented. Time stamped. Ready. I spent the next 4 days watching remotely through the trail camera. Monday morning. Victoria brought another group. 2 men in their 60s. They stood by the water 25 minutes while Victoria gestured. Handed them brochures. Wednesday. Another couple, younger. The woman took notes while the man filmed the water with his phone. 4 tours in 4 days. I downloaded every second. Backed it up to 3 drives. Started a spreadsheet date. Time. Visitors. Actions. Thursday evening. I drove to the public parking area and waited. At 2:40 p.m., Victoria's Mercedes pulled into view, followed by a silver Lexus. They turned onto the access road. I followed on foot, staying in the trees. Could hear voices. Victoria and a man I didn't recognize, standing by the fence. I crouched behind a palmetto and pulled out the directional microphone I'd ordered from Amazon Parabolic Dish with recorder, legal to use in public spaces, aimed it and hit record. Victoria's voice came through, clear. If we can secure the lake access, the commission on 4 lots alone is $62,000 for you. The man laughed. If is the key word. What's the timeline? The HOA vote is next week. Victoria said, the property is technically outside our jurisdiction, but we've drafted a boundary expansion proposal. Worst case, we settle with the owner. Even if we pay him $125,000, we're still profitable. My hands tightened. She was planning to settle, pay me off, keep the profit. The man and the owner. Is he going to fight Victoria's? Voice turned dismissive. He's a recluse. Barely shows up to meetings. I don't think he has the resources or appetite for a legal battle. We'll wear him down. I stopped recording. She thought I was weak. Thought I'd fold. She was wrong. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't sending Diane's letter yet. I was going to let Victoria keep going. Let her dig deeper. Collect more evidence against herself. I searched for the phone number on Victoria's brochure. Found it on a real estate forum. Someone had posted. Anyone know about Palmetto Shores lake access leases? Got a call from an HOA president. Sounds too good to be true. Replies. Verify ownership first. Sounds like a scam. I copied the thread, saved it. Then I called one of the prospective buyers. Number was on the brochure. A woman answered. Hello. Hi. I'm calling about the lakefront development opportunity in Palmetto Shores. Can you tell me more? She launched into a pitch, 25-year exclusive lease agreements. 95美元. 000 upfront. Guaranteed access. The WA president assured us it's legally cleared. Then we've already put down a deposit. My stomach dropped. How much? 30,000. Refundable if paperwork doesn't go through. But she said it's just a formality. I thanked her and hung up. 30美元. Ling, ling, ling. She'd taken a deposit for property she didn't own. Rights she couldn't grant. That wasn't trespassing. That was wire fraud. I sat back and looked at my evidence stack. Brochures. Recordings. Company registration. Deposit confirmation. Everything I needed to prove Victoria wasn't just overstepping. She was running a scam. And in 8 days, she was going to try to legitimize it with an HOA vote. I opened my laptop and started drafting a presentation. Slides. Evidence. Timeline. I wasn't going to that meeting to ask questions. I was going to bury her. Saturday morning. Victoria showed up at my door wearing a navy blazer, white blouse, heels clicking on my steps. She had a folder and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. Mr. Harrison, do you have a moment? I wanted to discuss the lake situation. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Do you have documentation proving the HOA owns my lake? She blinked. Well, no. But then there's no misunderstanding. You're trespassing. You're soliciting fees for property you don't own. If you don't remove that fence by Monday, I'm filing a complaint with the sheriff. Her expression hardened. The warmth drained. You can't just lock us out. That's obstruction of community access. Show me the deed. Show me the easement. Show me any legal document. She pulled out a paper. This is an official notice from the HOA. The covenant doesn't extend to my property. My attorney has checked. You have no authority here. Victoria's jaw tightened. For a moment, I saw fear in her eyes. If you refuse to cooperate, we'll pursue legal action. Finis. Lians. We have resources. I leaned against the door frame. So do I. And mine include actual evidence. She stared at me, then turned and walked to her Mercedes without another word. 2 hours later, an email arrived. Sender Palmetto, Shores HOA, legal notice. Subject final notice, compliance required. Dear Mr. Harrison, you are hereby notified that your refusal to comply with HOA directives constitutes obstruction of community access. You are required to remove all barriers within 48 hours. Failure will result in fines of $750 per day and a lien on your residence. This is your final notice. I forwarded it to Diane. They're threatening liens. Is this legal? Her response came in 12 minutes. Absolutely not. The covenant doesn't give them lien authority over non-covenant property. This is intimidation. I'm drafting a response now. Do not comply. Diane's response arrived an hour later. 3 pages. Devastating. She cited the statute prohibiting HOA liens on property outside covenant boundaries. Attached my deed and survey. Demanded proof of any legal claim within 10 business days. At the bottom, she'd copied the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and Florida Attorney General. Victoria's reply came at 11 p.m. personal email. Different tone. Matthew. I think we got off on the wrong foot. I'm not trying to take your property. I'm trying to build value for the community. If you just hear me out, I think we could find a solution. Let's meet coffee. No lawyers. Just neighbors. She was backing down, or pretending to. I didn't reply. Next morning, I drove to the Manatee County Clerk of Court. Signed in. Searched records for my property address. Then I found it, 8 weeks ago. Someone had filed an intent to petition for boundary adjustment. Petitioner Palmetto Shores Development, LLC. A formal request to adjust boundaries to include my lake within HOA jurisdiction. It hadn't been approved, hadn't been reviewed, but it was filed officially on record. I printed it. Back home. I searched Florida's Division of Corporations for Palmetto Shores Development, LLC. Found it. Registered 11 months ago. Registered agent, Victoria Brennan. Officers, Victoria Brennan, President. Derek Brennan, Treasurer. Marcus Chen, Secretary. Derek was Victoria's husband. Marcus was on the HOA board. The company had no assets, no revenue, no employees. A shell. I searched property records. Found 4 lots recently purchased by Coastal Holdings Group, LLC. Different company. Different officers. Same business address as Palmetto Shores Development LLC. I printed everything. That afternoon, I called the woman with the $30. 000 deposit. Did you get any paperwork? Just a receipt and an email saying the lease would be finalized after the HOA vote. Would you forward that email to me? I think something illegal is happening. I was starting to think the same thing. 2 minutes later, the email arrived. Sander, Victoria, Brennan, thank you for your deposit of $30. Ling, ling. Your lease priority for Palmetto Shores Lake access has been secured. Final paperwork will be executed following HOA approval on November 3rd. Refunds available if approval is not obtained. She'd put it in writing a promise to sell access to property she didn't own, contingent on an HOA vote with no legal standing. I opened my spreadsheet and connected dots. Palmetto Shores Development, LLC registered 11 months ago. Budget amendment, $220. 000 approved 3 months ago. Boundary adjustment petition filed 8 weeks ago. Deposits, $30. 000 each collected past month. All flowing through companies. Victoria and Derek controlled. This wasn't just trespass. This was conspiracy. I called Diane. I got a response from the HOA. She said, they're refusing documentation saying the lake is a natural community resource and they'll see us in court. I smiled. Good. Because I just found proof of a fraud scheme. Deposits. Shell companies. Fake filings. All of it. Diane was quiet. Send me everything. If they're taking deposits for property they don't own, that's wire fraud. Federal charges. The meeting was in 5 days. I opened my laptop and started building slides. This was going to be an execution. The community center was packed. 53 people in folding chairs. Victoria sat at the front table with Derek and Marcus. She wore that crimson blazer again, draped over a black silk blouse with a plunging V-neck, paired with a matching pencil skirt and glossy red heels. Her auburn hair fell in waves. Lips painted bold red. She looked up when I walked in. For half a second. Her face went blank. Then she smiled too wide. I didn't smile back. Took a seat in the third row. Set my laptop bag down. Waited. Victoria called the meeting to order at 7:00 sharp. Went through formalities. Then we'll now move to Agenda Item 9, Boundary Expansion and Community Asset Acquisition. The room went quiet. She stood. As you all know, our community has a valuable natural resource that's currently underutilized. The lake on the Harrison property has been used informally by residents for years, and we believe it's time to formalize access through proper management. My jaw tightened. Used informally was a lie, but I stayed quiet. Angela, a woman who'd been fined for her mailbox color, raised her hand. Victoria ignored her. We've consulted with legal experts who confirm natural water features can be reclassified as community assets. The board has drafted a boundary expansion proposal. The vote tonight is to approve this expansion. I'll now open the floor for questions. Angela stood. I'd like to hear from Mr. Dot. Harrison. Victoria's smile tightened. This isn't about one resident. He owns the lake. Angela said sharply. Doesn't he get to speak half the room? Murmured agreement. Victoria looked at me, calculating. Fine. Mr. Harrison, You have 5 minutes. I stood, walked to the front, opened my laptop. I'll need the projector. Victoria hesitated, then nodded to Derek. The screen flickered on. First slide photo of my deed. Zoomed on the legal description. This is my property deed. Recorded in 2003. It clearly states, I own 22 4 acres, including all water features. That means the lake is mine, not the community's, not the HOA's. Mine. Next slide, survey map. Lake boundaries highlighted. This is a certified survey. It confirms the lake sits entirely within my property lines. The HOA covenant stops here. I pointed. It does not extend to my land. Victoria stood. Mr. Harrison. We've already I'm not finished. Next slide. HOA covenant documents. Relevant section highlighted. Section 4 explicitly states HOA authority applies only to properties within designated boundaries. My property is not. This is public record. I looked at Victoria. So when you say the lake can be reclassified, you're either lying or you don't understand the law. Dead silence. Next slide photo of the brochure. This is a brochure your president has been distributing. It advertises access to my lake. It lists a price $95,000 for a 25-year lease. Gasps. Next slide. Email from the buyer. This is an email from your president to a prospective buyer. She collected a $30,000 deposit for access to property she doesn't own. That's not management. That's fraud. Victoria shot up. That's defamation? These are your words. Your brochures. Your emails. Next slide. Palmetto Shores Development, LLC registration. This is a shell company registered by Victoria Brennan, Derek Brennan, and Marcus Chen 11 months ago. It lists its business as real estate development. I turned to the board. Real estate development, not HOA management. Angela stood again. Wait, you created a separate company? Victoria pointed at me. Handshaking. You're twisting this. With whose approval did homeowners vote on this? Did anyone know you were using HOA funds to create a private development company? Silence? Next slide. Budget amendment showing $220. Lin. This was approved 3 months ago. $220,000. For what? Does anyone know? Nobody answered. Because there's no engineering report. No invoices. Just payments to Brennan Consulting LLC. Next slide. Derek's company registration. Brennan Consulting is owned by Derek Brennan. He billed the HOA $48,000 for an engineering survey that doesn't exist. Derek stood, face purple. That survey is in progress. Show me the report. He didn't have one. He sat back down. Travis, a local reporter, raised his hand. So the board created a company, used HOA money, and started selling access to someone else's property? I nodded. Exactly. The room erupted. Angela stood on her chair. I moved to recall the board immediately. 15 people shouted agreement. Second, Victoria tried calling for order, banging her gavel. But nobody listened. You want procedure? Angela shot back. Let's vote. All in favor of removing Victoria Brennan. Derek Brennan. and Marcus Chen. Say aye, the room roared. A few nays. 2 abstentions. Victoria stood frozen. Gavel raised. Face chalk white, Travis addressed the room. We need an interim board. Nominations. 4 people pointed at Angela. Travis was nominated for treasurer. Linda, a retired CPA, for secretary. Votes passed in 6 minutes. Victoria, Derek, and Marcus were out. Victoria gathered papers with shaking hands, walked to the door. Derek and Marcus followed. Nobody spoke as they left. The door shut, and the room exhaled. Angela looked at me. Thank you. I closed my laptop. Thank you for listening. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Marcus Chen. I need to talk. Victoria lied to the board. I have emails. I replied tomorrow. 10 a.m. Coffee shop on Cortez Road. Bring everything. Response. I will. Victoria's coalition was crumbling, and I hadn't even called the police yet. Marcus was already sitting at a corner table when I arrived, looking smaller than I remembered. Diane sat across from me, notebook ready. Marcus looked up. I didn't know what Victoria was doing until the meeting. I thought the infrastructure fund was legitimate. Diane's pen didn't move. But you signed documents for Palmetto Shores Development LLC. Marcus nodded. She told me it was for managing community projects. Said we needed a separate entity for liability. I didn't ask questions. I trusted her. What changed? Marcus pulled out a laptop. I went through my emails last night, found things I didn't remember. He opened it, turned it toward us. First email, 8 months ago. Subject, Lake Strategy. Sender, Victoria Brennan. Harrison Lake is outside our covenant, but he never attends meetings. If we act fast, we can establish adverse possession claims before he notices. Derek's engineering survey will show boundary ambiguity. Cost is $48K, but worth the $800K upside. Deanne looked at Marcus. You received this? He nodded miserably. I don't remember reading it. I get so many emails. Next email. 5 months ago, Grant confirmed engineering survey will show boundary ambiguity. Next. 3 months ago, Carter found 4 buyers. We can pre-sell leases. Use deposits to fund legal defense if Harrison notices. My hands tightened. She'd planned for this. Known it was illegal and planned anyway. Diane's voice was calm. Marcus, are you willing to testify under oath? Yes. I'll cooperate fully. While Marcus worked, I called the number from the brochure, the real estate agent. He answered. Carter Williams. Put it on speaker. This is Matthew Harrison. I own the lake you've been selling access to. Silence. I don't know what Diane leaned in. This is Diane Sheffield. Mr. Harrison's attorney. We have emails showing you arranged buyers. We have brochures. Lying would be a very bad idea. Another silence. Then quieter. Victoria told me the access was legally cleared. Did you verify that? See a deed? An easement, he didn't answer. Deanna Mimmer. Williams. If you cooperated without verifying ownership, you're liable for fraud. But if you cooperate now, provide documentation that cooperation will be noted. Carter exhaled. What do you need? 25 minutes later. Marcus had transferred emails to Diane, and Carter had sent screenshots of texts with Victoria Commission agreements, buyer contacts, deposits, everything. Diane and I went straight to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. Detective Ryan Kowalski listened to everything, reviewed the evidence. This is solid. Multiple crimes, trespass, fraud, embezzlement, unlicensed real estate activity. He tapped the brochure. And if she took deposits through bank transfers for property rights that don't exist, that's wire fraud. Federal jurisdiction. Diane, we'd like to file a formal complaint and request a restraining order. Kowalski called the state attorney's office. When the ASA arrived, she reviewed everything, then looked at Kowalski. We're filing trespass, fraud in the third degree, embezzlement, unlicensed brokering. I'll coordinate with FBI on wire fraud. She turned to me. You'll need a temporary restraining order. We can expedite that. Diane filed this morning. Hearings tomorrow at 2 p.m. The hearing was brief. The judge reviewed evidence, asked Victoria's public defender if he had documentation supporting a claim. He didn't. Temporary restraining order granted. MS. Brennan. Mr. Brennan. And agents are restrained from entering, advertising, or claiming rights to the property. Violation will result in contempt. Gavel banged. 12 minutes. 3 days later, my phone rang at 7 a.m. Travis turned on the news. The local station HOA president arrested on fraud charges. Victoria being led out in handcuffs. Face pale. That crimson blazer nowhere to be seen. Multiple felony counts. Fraud. Embezzlement. Unlicensed real estate activity. Derek arrested at his office an hour later that afternoon. Victoria's lawyer sent a settlement offer, $150. Ling ling ling. Public apology. Agreement never to hold HOA office. I countered $175. 000 for legal fees and damages. Public apology in the Bradenton Herald and on HOA website. Lifetime ban from any HOA leadership. Derek refunds $48. Nolla to HOA. Victoria's lawyer accepted within an hour. The apology was published 4 days later. Brief. Stilted. But on record, the trial was 7 months later. Victoria and Derek entered plea agreements. Victoria guilty to 2 counts. Fraud. 1. Count. Embezzlement. 24 months state prison. Suspended to 15 with good behavior. 4 years probation. 300 hours community service. Lifetime HOA ban. Restitution to victims. Derek guilty to conspiracy. 18 months suspended with probation. 3 years supervised release. 75美元. 000 restitución. The judge. Let me make a statement. Your Honor, Victoria Brennan didn't just violate my property rights. She violated the trust of an entire community. She used her position to bully people and profit from a scheme that hurt multiple families. Many were afraid to speak up because they didn't have resources. This sentence isn't just about punishing one person. It's about sending a message that no one is above the law. Power without accountability is tyranny. I hope this reminds people that standing up for what's right is always worth it. Victoria stood when the judge asked if she wanted to speak. I'm ashamed. I let greed and ego control me. I hurt people who trusted me. I have no excuse. I can only say I'm sorry. The judge MS. Brannon. Forgiveness is personal. Legally. You've caused significant damage. This sentence reflects both punishment and opportunity for rehabilitation. I hope you use it wisely. Gavel banged. A week later, I received a letter from the county clerk's certified copy of the final judgment. All charges against me. All ends. All claims dismissed with prejudice. The lake was mine. Legally. Unambiguously. Forever. I framed the letter and hung it in my office next to my deed and survey, not as a trophy, as a reminder that when someone tries to take what's yours, you fight with evidence, with patience, with law. And if you're right, if you're thorough, if you refuse to back down, the truth wins. That evening, I walked to the lake. The gate was gone. The fence was gone. The water was still. Sun setting gold across the surface. I stood on the dock and listened to evening birds and wind through pines. My lake, my land, my peace, restored, not by force, but by law, not by rage, but by reason. 3 months later, I sat on the dock with coffee, watching morning mist rise. A pair of herons waded near the far shore. I used to think peace was the absence of conflict. Now I knew it was something you built, defended, earned. My phone buzzed. Text from Angela community meeting tonight. Final vote on new playground equipment. Bring ideas if you have them. I smiled. I'll be there. 2 years ago, I would have skipped it. Now, I knew community mattered. The new board actually functioned. Meetings started on time. Budgets were transparent. Votes were fair. Nobody was afraid to speak up. Attendance had tripled. People cared because their voices mattered. HOA dues had dropped from $425 to $285 after cutting Victoria's buried expenses. Real projects replaced fake ones. Playground renovation, walking trail maintenance, better lighting, things people could see and use. I donated $40. 000 from the settlement to the Parks Improvement Fund. Not because I had to, because I wanted to. Generosity was the antidote to greed, transparency to corruption, community to isolation. 3 weeks ago, I hosted a lake day, sent invitations, families welcome, bring food. Bring kids. 62 people showed up. Children ran along the shore. Parents spread blankets. Someone grilled burgers. I'd set up a liability waiver station just for legal protection, but nobody complained. They signed. Smiled. Thanked me. It felt strange at first. Having people on land I'd fought so hard to protect. But then, I realized I wasn't protecting the lake from the community. I was protecting it from people who wanted to exploit it, sharing it voluntarily, on my terms, with people who respected it that felt right. One girl, maybe 8 years old, came up while I refilled the cooler. Is this really your lake? I nodded. It is. She looked at the water, eyes wide. It's so pretty. Thank you for letting us see it. That moment stayed with me. She understood something adults had forgotten. Ownership didn't mean hoarding. It meant stewardship. I owned the lake legally, but I also had responsibility to keep it clean. Protect it. Make sure it was here 50 years from now. Victoria had seen the lake as a commodity. I saw it as a trust. A week later, I got a call from a Florida state representative. Your story highlighted a real problem. HOA. Abuse is rampant. I'm drafting the HOA Accountability Act, stronger transparency requirements, criminal penalties for embezzlement, easier recall processes. I'd like to invite you to the signing ceremony, if it passes. The bill passed 5 months later with bipartisan support. I stood in the state capitol while the governor signed it into law. She shook my hand. Your courage didn't just protect your property, it protected thousands of homeowners across Florida. I didn't feel courageous. Felt like someone who'd done what needed to be done. But I accepted the compliment. Standing up mattered. Speaking up mattered. Fighting back not with violence, but with evidence and patience and faith in law that mattered. When I got home, Angela was on my porch steps. I heard, "You met the governor." I sat beside her. News travels fast. She laughed. "You're famous now." I shook my head. I just wanted my lake back. Angela looked toward the trees. You got more than that. You got a whole community back. We got it back. I corrected. You. Travis. Linda, you did the hard work. I just started it. Angela stood. You did more than start it. You showed people it was possible to win. That matters. That evening, I walked to the lake one more time. The water was calm, reflecting the last light. I stood on the dock and let myself feel everything. The fear, the anger, the exhaustion, the relief, and finally, the peace. This lake was mine, but it was also part of something bigger. A community that learned to hold leaders accountable. A legal system that, when used correctly, protected the powerless. A story that would remind people you don't have to be the loudest or richest or most powerful to stand up for what's right. You just have to be willing to try. I turned and walked back toward my house, leaving the water behind in fading light. Tomorrow, I'd start a new book. Not a thriller this time. A story about a man who fought City Hall and won. Fiction. Maybe, or maybe not. Either way, I had plenty of material, and this time, I knew exactly how it ended.